I want to talk with you about today is how to come up with an effective your own, how to come up with an original piece. And one of the things that really stood out to me was the dreaming process of having a solution in your mind before you fall asleep and then coming up with it in the dream. So you want to talk
Yes.
about that a little bit?
Yes. This is one of the practices that I do to create solutions to problems in my magic. Is that before I go to sleep, I will perform a piece of magic without the method. And this is something that I learned from Tommy Wonder. Okay, he would have his dream effect diary. Where if you had true magic powers, I mean, real magic,
Mhm.
what would it look like? Right? If you had this thing, what would you do with it? If you really could make that disappear, what it would look like dissolve in thin air like ash right in front of you would be awesome. Take a coin and just dissolve it into
Right.
smoke. That would be beautiful, right? Turn it right into nothing in front of your face. And how would you do that? You don't know. It's never been done,
Yeah.
right? It's not something that has yet been done because the method for this visual disappearance, the slow motion disappearance of the coin hasn't been come up with yet.
I think I
So
just came up with a solution in my
see,
mind, but I won't say
see,
it.
but see, the method must the supposition, right? In theory, in science, you have to first come up with the end result, what you want to achieve. You want to know this, how this occurs, right? Then you work backwards on how it can occur, right? So the elements must come together. So what I do is I will do that. I will propose something totally impossible to myself. I'll imagine it. I'll even picture it. I'll take a picture or remote, and
Mm-hmm.
freeze frame, and then watch it disappear. And then I will go to sleep. Now, throughout the day, I've practiced many sleights, many different things through the routine. But during sleep, what happens is your brain is like a sub processor. It is conscious on its own. It's called the subconscious, right? It
Mm-hmm.
processes without without your effort. And so it will take everything you've ever known, from physics to visual illusion to the sleight of hand, right? Any sort of misdirectional cues, it will put all those things together. Anything that you've ever learned, and sometimes stuff that you don't know exists will come about because it will
Right.
put it together for you. Okay, it'll take this part, this part, this part, this part, and go, and then you will go, oh, just like a minute ago, your brain went. All you had to do was put in the thing, and your brain automatically comes up with your own solution. That's why magic books are so awesome, because really all you have to do is read the effect.
And then, yeah, isn't
You
that
understand what
what
I'm saying?
David
You don't have to go
Copperfield
much
did?
further than that. You could just sit there. If you're already skilled, you understand what I'm saying? You're already
Yeah.
practiced, and you've already got your ABCs in you. I call it the ABCs of magic. You've already got all of it. You know all the slides, or at least most of the methods and slides. Then when you read a magic book, you don't need them to tell you how they did it. You just come up with the way you do it, the way you
Yeah.
can do it, the way that
Isn't,
is best and most natural for you.
isn't that what David Copperfield did? I think he said he the way that he came up with a lot of magic growing up, maybe probably even to this day, is he'll read magic books and he'll just read the effects, and then throughout the day or whatever, he'll come up with a method.
Yeah, why not? If we force feed ourselves so much magic, right, where they tell us how it's done, they tell us how they do this, that, and the other, right? After we've already know how to do our basic moves, then I feel it can stifle creativity, because you're not causing your brain to work. It's just being fed, you know. And like gluttony, it'll want to be fed and fed and fed and fed, and it won't work for it, right? So that when you finally do need a solution, you go, you've got, it's like white noise eventually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it becomes white noise at some point. So one of the things that Eugene Berger always talks about in his opening of his lectures is, you know, sorry to disappoint you, but I'm not here to teach you another magic trick. Right? I'm here to make you a better magician, make your magic better.
Yeah, that's what Bill Malone did. A lot. One of his lectures, he taught magic, but the big majority of the beginning of the lecture, it was all theory.
Right. So how to practice your creativity, so that when you're trying to process the effect, right? Then just like have you played basketball or piano or learned any other thing besides magic?
For over 10 years, I did taekwondo.
Okay, so the master had you stand there and do this one movement
over and over
and over, and you probably did it 10,000 times, right? Over a certain years, right? So that at a split second, without thinking about it, the reaction will happen, so that you will when you need to.
Right.
So practicing anything, any form of art, is a discipline, right? And creativity is the same. So if you don't practice creativity, and one of the things that I do to practice creativity is, I have what I teach my students is called, it's like a symbolism practice, or, you know, seeing beneath what you're looking at as something else. So as an example, a tree, right? It could be growth, emergence, strength, tolerance. It could be abundance, right? It can mean so many things. So just seeing it as just a tree, or you could see it as something deeper, right? Seeing a bee on a flower, rather than just look at it as, oh, what a pretty bee on a pretty flower. You're looking at what?
Pollen, honey.
Pollinate, yeah. You know, fruit, feeding, like community, working towards one goal, to sacrifice your own for the group whole.
Yeah.
Right? So
good.
Doing that will help the mind set up alternate understandings of what you're looking at, right? So when you're doing a routine or creating something that's unique to yourself, then the pattern can go along with what you're looking at. What does it mean to cut a deck? What does it mean to put cards like this? Do you see what I'm saying? So rather than saying, I'm just shuffling the deck, now you can make it meaningful.
Yeah, because in that sense, not only are you learning that process, but you're also, when you're thinking that way about what does it mean to shuffle a deck, that's how you come up with pattern.
Yeah, exactly. So that's another creative process, right? To creating unique piece of magic. Okay. I will subconscious practice too, right? When you're, I call it practice to the point of distraction, or practicing at the point of distraction. So while you're doing something that you're consciously focusing on, you will do your second deal. Not thinking about doing a second deal, but allowing your hand to do it. Allowing your fingers to do what they need to do to get that card out of there as smoothly as possible, but at the same time, you're focusing on some other thing, so that you're setting up a subconscious action.
Right.
so that while you're doing patter, your body's still focusing. So like in Taekwondo, you're focusing on their head movement and the joints around their neck, because they'll lead you to where they're moving. You can see a slight twitches and tails that let you know that they're about to step forward or back or all kinds of stuff. But if you're not focusing on where you need to look, and you're going to be trying to figure out what you need to be doing instead of looking what you need to be looking at. So subconscious practice. All right. If you're already engaging the subconscious, then when you go to sleep, your processor has already been engaged in the magic, right? So while particularly different sleights, we as performers, we practice maybe we practice too much conscious practice and not enough subconscious practice, so that when we're in the performance, we stumble because we're still focusing on hand movement. You know what I'm saying? We're still focusing on position and stuff rather than having your body already know what it's doing, need to be doing.
While you can presentation rather than on technicality.
That's right. Because, like I said before, we need our conscious in one direction, but our subconscious should be already going. Especially during fight and flight response, like you were, in Taekwondo, right? Because you've already practiced with your body, right? It's ingrained in you, right? Then when you're focusing on reacting, your body automatically does the movements because you're not having to tell it exactly what it needs to do.
How do you, as a silent performer, practice scripting? What does that look like for you?
I actually, I tell it, I tell the story in my mind, right? And then I try to portray it through visual cues. So if I need to know, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but what I'll do is I have a character, and this is something that I always tell my students to, is you gotta answer these few basic questions. Is what does magic mean to you? What is it? What is magic? Right? What type of magician do you want to be? What type of magic are you performing? And then what's the story behind this magician that is you? Where do you store your magic? Where does it come from? These are four of the basic things, right? And this is your backstory. This may never be written down. This may not ever find its way into but it's your story that you tell yourself from beneath, that you carry as the character, the magician, right? If you don't first of all understand what you're doing, what magic is, then you're not a magician. You got to describe yourself. You got to understand that moment of awe, and then the type of person that would convey that moment.
What type of magic? I myself as an actor playing the part of a magician, that at times, just like you're watching a movie, may get so into it they believe it's actually true.
So my character is an apprentice to the wizard, the master. Okay. And what I'm always trying to convey is that, first of all, I'm sitting around, I'm practicing what I was taught by my master. And I'm trying to remember the process of it because I saw him do it, right? And then when I follow the process, and if you look at the brain, like my face is trying to convey that message of, now what do I do? Wait, oh, I know now. Now I do this, and then once I've done that, then something happens, and then I check to make sure. Oh, it happened. No, I don't know how it does it, but it does. Right? I don't know how he does it. My master is crazy, right? He's done he knows some tricks that I have no clue. I don't even know how it works, but I get to experience it because he taught me how. I don't know how it works, but he showed me how to make it happen. and I'm just doing it, and then I enjoy the result.
All right, man. Well, again, thanks for being on here, and I appreciate you, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, Junior. Thank you so much, my friend.
You're very welcome.
Bye bye.